When I was a new player, I would have really appreciated being told if some of the cards I was buying were worth it at the time. So today, that's what we're going over. I'm going to go over all the legendaries that are over $100 and all the Majestics that are over $30 and discuss whether or not I think new players should be purchasing them. First card is Tunic. Final Spring Tunic, currently it's $155 for the rainbow foil. The white border is a little lower, the non-foil is a little lower, but they're all over 100 easily. This card has some claim to being the best card ever in Flesh and Blood, but I think right now it's really just at its low power level wise. There's so many decks that have class chests that are better than this, and I think Blossom of Spring in most matchups will be really fighting for its spot as a budget player. I definitely wouldn't recommend getting this card as a new player. I think it's just way too expensive, but there are some decks that really need Tunic. I think if you're playing a Guardian, you really need Tunic, because you need Command and Conquer Pummel in order for your deck to function. That includes mostly Victor, but also Betsy and Bravo both will be using Tunic because they also sometimes want to be playing Count Your Blessings, which really benefits from Tunic as well. Other than that, the decks that really appreciate Tunic are Wizards, really utilize Tunic very well. Although Verdance currently doesn't use Tunic very much, and Kano does have some other options. Azalea also uses Tunic really well, but Azalea in most matchups isn't going to get 3 activations off of Tunic, so Blossom of Spring is mostly the same. You just lose 1 block. Overall, I just wouldn't recommend buying this as a new player. It's way too expensive, and there are options at low price points that you can get. If you're looking at purchasing a Tunic, I would recommend purchasing Blossom of Spring instead if you were playing an aggressive deck. It's $1 right now, so I would definitely get that. Or if you're playing Wizard, you can also get Spellfire Cloak. Spellfire Cloak is a common from Uprising, and it's 5 cents. So I would get that, especially if you're playing Kano. If you're not playing Kano and instead playing Verdance, or you're playing Acilio, then just get Blossom of Spring. If you're looking to play Guardian and thinking about purchasing a Tunic, I would instead purchase Tectonic Plating. It's about $40 right now, which is a little on the high end, but this card synergizes really well with both Anathos and all of your forecast attacks. You can alternate between playing turns 2 card 6 into 2 card 8. So I would just purchase this over a Tunic. The second card is Balance of Justice. It's a $135 for a rainbow foil. This card's really good, but it and Crown of Providence both sit in the head slot as just the generics. Most decks nowadays have actually really good head slots. If you're playing a Runeblade or a Brute or a Ranger, you definitely probably don't need this card. It's strong, but there's options in class. Some classes, though, really need it, like Warrior depends on Balance or Crown. I think Balance is currently slightly worse than Crown of Providence, and it is a little more expensive. So if you're looking to upgrade your deck by purchasing a Legendary, I do think that Balance of Justice is actually less good than Crown of Providence, which we can look at here. Crown of Providence currently about 108 for the rainbow foil. It is sitting at slightly under 100 for the non-foil. I do think that Crown of Providence or Balance of Justice, either one, is actually a pretty good purchase overall, though. It's expensive, but you can put it in literally any one of your decks and you won't be going wrong. So you could purchase it and go to your armory every week and get $100 worth of value. If I was looking to purchase a headpiece that blocked for 2, currently I would look at purchasing Arcanite Skullcap. The FFS non-foil is currently $33, which is much cheaper than the other versions of this 2-block effect. The upside of purchasing Skullcap instead of some of the other cards is that you can actually purchase the new Arcanite Fortress card as well, which will give you 2 Spell Void, which is great against Kano, and this card's only $18 right now, so you can buy them both instead of having to put 2 Spell Void in your deck. Now you can just play your regular headpiece and play Arcanite Fortress instead. Grasp of the Arknight. The Arcane Rising version's around $130, all the other versions are pretty similar. They're all over $100. This card is insanely good. really nothing else does what it does. If you're playing a Runeblade, this should be in your deck. But if you're a new player, maybe you can get away with playing a Vexing Quillhand, but really this card just has no replacement. If you just started with this set, I would probably wait. I think this card will probably go down after some of the hype around Aurora and Florian and Viserai goes away. And I think Vincent can get away with not playing Grasp. It's pretty good in the deck, but Vexing Quillhand allows you to do some crazy things in that deck, so you might just be able to get away with playing it in every matchup. Overall, I think Grasp is just not really worth it right now, especially considering it recently just like doubled in price. It was sitting around $60 for a while. If I was thinking about purchasing a Grasp of the Arknight, it's really hard to replace, but I mean, Vexing Quillhand is the next best thing. This card's $4. It's a Majestic from Everfest. It's very good, and it also has the Arcane Barrier, so you're going to want it eventually anyways. But, I mean, Grasp is so much better than this card, especially in Viserai and Florian and Aurora. I think especially Florian. The Grasp is just so much better than Quillhand, but you can definitely run on Quillhand while you're still thinking about whether or not you really want to play the game. Spellbound Creepers is another card like this. Looks like Cold Foil is worth 150. Looks like all the Rainbow Foils are even higher. Yeah, I mean, this card's good, but I don't think there's... The only Runeblade that's playing this is Viserai. I guess Vincent is also playing it, but those aren't even particularly good in those decks. They're like, this card is extremely good. This card represents 2 action points usually, maybe even 3. And when you start chaining your action points together with Creepers, things start getting real out of hand. Especially in Vincent, when sometimes this allows you to do double Runegate turns. This card's good, but I wouldn't buy it. You can get away with playing Snapdragon Scalers in Aurora, or the new legendary feat in Aurora. And Florian doesn't even play this, so I just wouldn't purchase this. Even in Viserai, I think you can get away with just playing Snapdragon Scalers. Phantasmal Footsteps from Monarch. This card's sitting at just above $100. I think these are the worst they've ever been. They're just okay in Prism. They allow you to get popped and still continue your turn. But, I mean, Enigma doesn't even really want to play these. You only play these in the Count Your Blessings version because they represent 1 value on your opponent's turn. I think this card is just really weak, and I would never purchase this if I was playing Illusionist until I was like trying to build Prism to the maximum level. If I was looking to build Enigma as a budget player or as a new player, I would definitely recommend purchasing Meridian Pathway instead of Phantasmal Footsteps. You're probably going to purchase both of them anyways, but any matchup where you were playing Phantasmal Footsteps, you could just play Meridian Pathway and be just as fine. The only time where it's worse is if you're playing Count Your Blessings, or sometimes playing against Runeblade and Ninja, but really I think Meridian Pathway is just the way to go. And it's only $11 with free shipping, so this is way more bang for your buck. Stormstriders, these are really strong. They see play in every wizard, and they're the best leg slot in every wizard right now, I think, in CC and in Blitz. If you're playing Kano, you need these, or else you don't have a deck. If you're playing Acilio, you don't need these. I think you can actually play the Mage Master's boots instead and still be going pretty fast with your deck. And Verdance, she probably needs these. It allows her to have some reach in the very end game using her hat. If you were really dedicated to playing Wizard and you just really love the class, I would probably buy these because I don't think they're really going to go down too much either. Okay, this is a big one. Command & Conquer, $95 for your Arcane Rising versions. The white borders are a little less than this, but I mean, Command & Conquer is one of the strongest cards in the game. It definitely has an argument for it. But it's not $95 per copy good. Are you really spending $300 for your playset of Command & Conquers? No. If you're new, never, like, try and trade for these. Maybe, like, I would play in the next couple of pre-releases and try and find trades and maybe trade for them. I would only buy Command & Conquers if I had so many hours and knew that I was going to be playing Flesh and Blood. And I don't even think most decks are even putting this in their deck. Like, if you think about what's about to be good, Dash.io is never going to play Command & Conquer. Aurora, doesn't love playing Command and Conquer. She doesn't love 2 costs. The Earth Heroes will be playing Command and Conquer. They do like the interactivity of it. Azalea does not play Command and Conquer. The birds do play Command and Conquer, but it can really just be replaced in all the decks that you play it. And I mean, I think if you are considering purchasing Command and Conquer right now, I would instead just buy Erase Faces. Erase Face is really interactive into Aurora and the Earth Heroes and into Dash.io. You can spend $30 instead of $300 and get some great interaction into the good aggro decks right now. Command & Conquer, really, it's best into Ranger and sometimes Ninja, but even then, it's just not that good. Enlighten Strike, this is $45. It's a little less than Command & Conquer. I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong. Enlighten Strike will always be good because LSS loves having Illusionist in the game, and Illusionist will always tax your action points in some way. Illusionist will always ask, can you play all the cards in your hand? And Enlighten Strike allows you to do that, so Enlighten Strike will always be good. But, I mean, the card is actively not good. It's bad on all of its modes except draw card, and in a lot of decks the draw card mode is also not good. Decks like Aurora really like Enlighten Strike because whenever you draw a card, you know the card that you draw is going to be good, so Enlighten Strike draw card is always above rate. If you're ever playing Enlighten Strike with Go again, you're below rate. If you're playing Enlighten Strike for +2, you're probably below rate for your deck. So your deck is probably better than Enlighten Strike, but you might need it as a tech card for certain matchups. But I wouldn't buy these if I was a new player. I would try and find some way to make my Enigma matchup better that didn't cost me $140. Codex of Frailty. Yeah, this card's broken. Another card that is probably among the best in the game. Gets your best card and then draws you a card afterwards. In Assassin, this card's just insane. If you go Codex into Leave No Witnesses, it's probably the best one card play in the game. Probably. It's close, at least. And in Ranger, this card is also just crazy. The fact that it's a yellow just puts it over the top. I think if you're really dedicated to playing Assassin, this probably needs to be in your deck. You just won't be able to win otherwise. But if you're playing Ranger, I think you can get away with not purchasing this card for a while and maybe trying to find trades for it if you can. But people mostly aren't trading away this card. Not a lot of people opened Outsiders. I would just kind of wait around, because this card is one that is way overrated in this game, and maybe it could get banned. But it's so strong, especially in Assassin, that I think if you're playing Assassin, you should buy it. If you're playing Ranger, you can definitely wait. Okay, Warmonger's Diplomacy. $75 for one Warmonger's Diplomacy. Yeah, that's a lot. Dusk Till Dawn as a set sucked, so Warmongers was the only good card, and they banned out Prism. So now there aren't any other good cards in that set, so I guess, yeah, this is the only playable card out of that whole set, so it's worth basically a box, I guess. It's a tech card specifically for Viscera and Azalea, and Vincetta, I guess. Don't buy 3 of these. Especially considering Dash.io can't play it, and Aurora really wants like 1 or 2 copies maybe. Yeah, you're never going to trade for this card. Nobody ever is going to trade away their Warmonger's Diplomacies. I mean, actually they might starting now just because it's so high. I can't really imagine this card going over $80, but yeah, you just can't spend $220 on having 3 copies of this in your deck when you could spend $210 on like Codex of Frailty. Codex of Frailty is way stronger than this card. So I would buy Command and Conquer before this card, but I wouldn't buy any of them really. So yeah, you should stay away from purchasing Warmonger's Diplomacy until you've really played a lot of games and you know that there's maybe like Viscera and Azaleas in your meta. The Weakest Link. This card's $50. I guess it's the only card that's worth anything in Mistveil, because all the legendaries are like $5 to $10, and none of the Majestics other than this are worth anything. So I guess it makes sense. This card's pretty good right now. It hits a lot of things. It hits Aurora. It hits Dash IO. It hits Enigma. I mean, I wouldn't purchase this before Command and Conquer. And I really think Erase Phase, if you're thinking about buying a 2 for 6, I would buy Erase Phase first. They're like $10 right now, and they're going to be really good in this upcoming meta. So definitely stay away from Weakest Link. This is the type of card that, as the meta shifts, this card could get significantly worse. Like, if they print the next set and the defensive heroes are just extremely strong, suddenly maybe Aurora and Dash IO just aren't playable, and the Weakest Link is just awful, if that's the case. So I would not buy these if I was a new player. I would stay away, stay away. Go buy Erase Faces. That's what this whole video is about. Go buy Erase Faces. And then the last 3 Majestics are these 3 Mechanologist Majestics. We have Twin Drive, Heist, and Construct Nitro Mechanoid. Twin Drive and Heist are both from Bright Lights, and they're both around $30 to $40. Twin Drive doesn't even see play in every Dash IO list. You can definitely build a Dash IO deck that just like plays a ton of boom grenades, doesn't play Twin Drive, doesn't play Max V, and you just try and hit them with booms. So, I mean, if I was playing Dash IO, I would not buy this right now. $40 for this card is way too much, and I mean, it just goes to show that Bright Lights was an awful set. Same with Heist. Heist is just like not good. It always gets blocked, and your opponent wants to block anyways, so it's only good in the aggro mirror, and maybe you need it in the Dash IO mirror. You like Heist, and then you get your TikTok clock back from your banish zone, but I would not purchase these for $30. I think your Dash IO deck will still be extremely strong even without Heist in it, and you do have to really play around Heist existing when you play the deck with it in it. So, and Construct Nitro Mechanoid, I think Max is just bad. Like, you can't play Max into Dash IO, you can't play Max into Aurora, you can't play Max into Azalea, you can't play Max into Enigma, so I would not put money into purchasing Construct Nitro Mechanoids. This card's from Dynasty, and Dynasty also is just awful. That's kind of a theme. Dusk Till Dawn, Dynasty, and Bright Lights all were just pretty bad sets, and all were not opened at all, so some of their Majestics are just insanely expensive. So yeah, this card is way overpriced for what it does. Don't buy this if you're a new player. Don't build Max if you're a new player, that's for sure. Go over, buy the Dash IO or Armory deck when it comes out this Friday, and just go kill some people with boom grenades. That's my recommendation.